Like we have an exciting double header for our special presentations this evening. We're going to start out with pest control. Andrew, are you going to do introductions on this or?
Sure.
He's our exterminator, so go for it.
So Tony is here as well as his supervisor, Matt Parker. And so they will be doing the pest control presentation for us tonight.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Tony Rubalcaba. I am the pest control operator for CRPD. I've been with the district for 18 years. I started off as a contract worker in the grounds department, then got hired on in the grounds crew. I'm now the pest control operator, and I'll just explain a little bit of what I do. Some of what I do here at CRPD, I support the pest control needs for all departments with weed abatement, general pest control, ants, roaches, etc., rodent control, field refurbishments, site prep for special projects, bee removal and relocation, annual worker pesticide safety training for all field staff. Yeah, there we go. All right, we're back. All right, so you may ask yourself, what is a pest? Well, pests are organisms that damage or interfere with desirable plants in our sports fields, landscapes, open space, or even cause damage to facilities or other structures. Pests also include organisms that impact human or animal health that can potentially transmit disease or may just be a nuisance to us. Pests can be weeds in landscapes, a vertebrate such as a bird, rodent, or mammals, a snail, insect, mite, tick, nematode, or pathogen that causes disease to plants. How pest control is achieved and why. With integrated pest management, IPM is an approach that establishes a sustainable approach to managing pests by combining preventative, biological, cultural, physical, and chemical practices in a way that minimizes economic, health, and environmental risk. Process you can use to solve pest problems while minimizing risk to people and the environment. IPM control methods such as cultural, physical, biological, and chemical. With the guidance from the district, integrated pest management plan, the goal is to reduce pest issues to tolerable and or manageable thresholds. This is achieved by utilizing best management practices to meet the objectives to the district's IPM plan, which are prevention of loss or damage to structures or property by pests, elimination of significant threats caused by pests to the health and safety of patrons and staff, protection of environmental quality at parks and inside and outside of buildings. Special IPM efforts and strategies. Since 2005, the district ceased using anticoagulant rodenticides in effort to reduce the potential adverse effects on wildlife who prey on rodents. Since 2010, the district has made a concentrated effort to decrease the use of non-organic fertilizers by changing turf management practices. With programmed annual downtime for annual field refurbishments to allow for turf aeration and filling with sand and top dress with organic compost materials. This preventative cultural practice has led to strong roots and less weeds in our fields. In 2015, we've stopped using all rodenticides, poisons used to control rodents, relying on traps and CO carbon monoxide gas ground injections instead. The picture on the lower right-hand side is our CO machine used for ground boring rodent control. And there I am using a little gopher rodent control in some of our sites. In 2019, we've stopped using herbicides containing glyphosate or any Roundup product. and developed urban parks and added the sustainability and resilience strategic objective elements to the district's IPM plan. The objective of the sustainability and resilience strategic element is to operate the district in an environmentally and economically sustainable manner. This strategy is used to evaluate new ideas, embrace change, and continuously move the district towards environmentally sustainable and cost-effective operations. Weed abatements activities are carried out to protect human health. An example is being the reduction of poison oak in developed parklands and open space interfaces, and for public safety by maintaining low vegetative roadside buffers for fire hazard reductions, traffic visibility, the mitigation and management of invasive plant species, and for the aesthetics of our parks and facilities. Our common pests found in facilities are ants, roaches, rats, and mice. And common pests found in our landscapes and other grounds are gophers, ground squirrels, moles, wasps, hornets, and yellow jackets. Also insects, disease, and pathogens associated with plants. For our field refurbishments, as previously mentioned, we program downtime for our fields. Refurbishments where I provide herbicide treatments as necessary in efforts to maintain the safety, playability, and aesthetics of our inventory of sports fields. We also have a program that's a bee removal and relocation, since bees are our protective species. We tend to remove the bees and relocate them, such as any building, storage rooms, irrigation valve boxes, underground voids, and we relocate the queen and the whole colony 5 miles outside. Otherwise, they'll return back to their hive. I also do an annually safety training. Annually, I provide California State Department of Pesticide Regulations mandatory worker pesticide safety training for all field and park ranger staff that spray pesticides or work on equipment that is issued for pesticide applications. Also provide any PPE safety gear to all of our staffs as needed. And this concludes my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for your time. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you. Don't leave the podium yet, because I'm sure some of our board members have questions. Yes, Director Cusworth.
So I have a couple of questions. Are you just the main pesticide guy and just train our rangers and groundskeeper, or do you have a staff that works with you to just take care of this? Seems like quite a bit of work.
It is. I am the only pest control operator for the whole district. I am qualified. I have a QAC through the state. And I also do a lot of training with our staff. Anybody that comes in contact with any chemical equipment, repairs, and pretty much I handle everything. But like I said, besides all of our staff between grounds, rangers, everybody's fully trained and certified to operate within the district.
So if you needed to have help, you would just get some help just on a as needed basis.
Correct. Yeah. There's normally about 2 to 3 guys within the district that work with me as needed, depending on, how big of a job or what we're doing, such as sports fields, weed abatement, and maintaining our open space for fire preventative. And, as far as bees, also, it's kind of a big deal. So I always have assistants just to relocate them, put them in a safe space and open space.
So I'm just curious, how long have you been with the district? And before you came, was this something that we had outside contractors taking care of this. Is this a new position or has this been a position for a long time?
This has been a position for a long time. I've been here for 18 years.
Oh,
And since I've started, I have always worked with the previous pest control operator. So ever since I've been trained, I got state certifications. I got my license through them. And as far as I know, there's some areas, some buildings that are maintained by contractors, such as a Stagecoach Museum. I know there's a contractor, but they do the basic insecticide maintenance of the buildings. But for the most part, I do most of it.
because I think this is, maybe I've forgotten, but I think this is the first time you've presented in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I don't,
So this seems like it's a new area. So I have another question, just a personal question. What do you use instead of Roundup? Do you have the name of the product and can it be purchased in like Home Depot?
what I use instead of Roundup, we no longer use Roundup or Monsanto products. What I use is a herbicide called Lifeline, and it's totally different than Roundup. It's a more friendly herbicide, and it works well. And that's mostly what we use to control weeds.
And where do you purchase that?
There's a company that we use, it's called Agarex, but really any company that's licensed will sell that, but it's not really open to the public. You know,
Oh.
it's got to be state certified,
Okay.
but it is one of our safest and better options rather than Roundup or anything that has the glyphosate chemical on it.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was things that, could be recommended just for homeowners to use. So, but I guess this wouldn't be that easy to purchase.
No,
Okay.
no.
Well, thank you. It's very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Director Nichols.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I really appreciated the presentation. I was wondering as you were, out there in your suit and then spraying with a wand and with a truck, how much of what you do is regularly scheduled that every January you do something, every June you do something, and then you kind of have a schedule as opposed to things pop up where you get a phone call or a direction that says, hey, we need you to do this. I just was curious how much is, I don't know if you call that, on call or emergency basis versus scheduled and how you juggle all that.
It's a little bit of both. We have a yearly schedule as far as weeds. It's normally like a quarter, every quarter of the year. It's every 2 to 3 months, depending on the site. But lately, due to all the rain we've been having, we've been getting massive weeds everywhere. And, also with the fire hazards around, we have to maintain everything, just keep it safe and, but yeah, everything's pretty much scheduled throughout the year. But, as needed, we just jump on it and take care of it. Safety issues.
Well, I think the parks reflect your hard work. So thank you for you and your crew.
Thank you.
Director Lang.
Yes, in your presentation, you showed beehives and so forth. You mentioned you relocate them in a certain distance.
Mhm.
How frequently does that happen? And how large is the average beehive by the time you get to it?
We actually have a lot of beehives in some of our parks. And since we're pretty much surrounded by a lot of open space around the area, there's thousands of beehives in open space. But once beehives kind of outgrow their massive area, they'll create a new queen, and a new hive will start, which means that new hive will kind of swarm around, find a home. But normally what I deal with is beehives that go under our valve boxes and find a home. So most of the time they could range anywhere from a small beehive of 5,000 bees to an average of 30,000. I think the biggest one I pulled out must have been like a 60,000 beehive. pretty massive. I had to actually get help. It was pretty big, so, but that happens all the time. And, since bees are a protective species, we got to do our best to relocate them. And since Park District has tons of open space, I do have to relocate them 5 miles outside of that radius. Otherwise, they'll fly back to their hive. And from experience, before I learned that, I relocate them maybe 2-3 miles, and within a few days, they were back in.
Yeah.
So, live and you learn.
You're a quick learner.
Yes.
Do we have any, I can't recall the name of the bee, raised bees for honey?
Mhm.
Anyway, do we have any that are associated with CRPD that you could say, hey, there's a big beehive here, a lot of honey and so forth. Can you come and harvest the honey?
That's as far as harvesting honey, we don't really do that. But depending on the type of hive it is, mostly it's beehives. I've also dealt with Africanized bees, and they can get pretty crazy. But as far as beehives, I do have a few contacts throughout the county that they will come get the bees and relocate them. And they normally relocate them around the fields around growers. So there is some that will take them back to their groves so they can pollinate their crops.
Oh, thank you very much. Good presentation, very informative. And I don't know if CRPD should start a side business of honey. CRPD honeys, sweetest in the canal.
I like it.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
Director Buss.
So I work in residential real estate as my day job, and we do termite inspections all the time. I was curious, do we do termite inspections on our facilities?
We do, yeah.
How often do we do them?
All the time. Part of my weekly schedule is also doing inspections. So I do go around, inspect buildings, structures, open space. But as far as buildings, we do have some older building sheds. And I do run through a few termites around mostly the facial structures of the buildings. So there is, stuff that I do deal with termites as well.
Okay, but we haven't had to fumigate any of our facilities, the
No,
older ones.
since I've been here, we have not.
Okay.
And I think part of it is also because I try to maintain most of it, or if I see any termite rot in some of our structures, I do work with maintenance and we deal with it before it gets out of control or creates a safety issue for any structure or building.
That's great. Thank you so much. I loved your presentation.
Thank you.
Tony, thank you very much for your presentation. Best I can recall, Director Cressworth said she hadn't heard a presentation from you, and I've been on the board for 12 years. I don't recall a presentation in the past 12 years, so I think we're overdue. So I appreciate all the information. You did answer the question about what we use currently for vegetation control. Had a couple of questions about bees, and I'm just wondering if we happen to find a swarm of bees on the weekend, who do we call?
That would be me.
Darn, I wish I'd known that last Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we have swarms that come into our parks all the time, but normally the swarms will come in because they're normally looking for a new home. So they'll tend to rest in a tree or a structure. And the best thing we do to protect them is just barricade, caution the area, let them be. That way they can kind of move on within a few days after they rest and find a new home. But that happens all the time.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind next time. We had a swarm of bees that decided to take over one of the easy up tents at our soccer tournament. So
yeah, and
now,
yeah, the tricky thing about that, since it's a protective species, you just gotta let them be.
oh, well, I'm glad we didn't try to kill them then or something like that. So anyway, Tony, thank you very much for the information. We do appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.